You're welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching Business Incorporated. We're live to you from Channels Television. The federal government has reached an agreement with the World Bank Group and other development partners for the release of $1.3 billion for the takeoff of the Development Bank of Nigeria. The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, stated this in Washington, D.C., United States, at the closing press conference marking the end of the World Bank and International International Monetary Fund's meeting in the States. Now, let's take a look at this development. I'm being joined on the program by Michael Famaruti. He's an economist with Betiva Capital Management. Good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us on the program. What is your view about this development bank?
Okay, first thing is that it's been in the pipe for a while. Sometime last year, the formal announcement was made for it. I think the plan was for it to have launched at a much earlier date, but given the change in government we had last year, I think that put a stall in the process. In terms of the usefulness of the bank, it's a good development. There has been an awareness that some of the current needs of micro, small, medium businesses haven't been met in terms of funding. And I think the development bank is set up to address that issue.
Nigeria's finance minister, who spoke alongside the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, says that the DBN will serve as a means of intervention for SMEs to get funds to run their operations and expand in order to achieve inclusive growth for the country. What has happened to other funds set up for these same purposes?
Okay, I think the biggest one is probably the Bank of Industry, and that is the flagship finance institution set up to provide loans to businesses, apart from commercial banks. But if you look at the statements that have surrounded the DBN, right from conception, they stem from an awareness that there was a gap or a niche that the BOI wasn't filling. If you look at the Bank of Industry closely, it's very much tailored to manufacturing and industrial and processing. And SMEs can be quite varied and diverse. And I think in terms of addressing the full spectrum of their needs, the DBN is a lot more flexible in that respect.
Now, the amount put up for this venture is $1.3 billion. Is this amount enough, going by the enormity of the needs on ground?
Well, it's hard to estimate exactly how much is needed. First of all, because a lot of these businesses are in the informal sector. But a rule of thumb would probably tell you that 400 billion in terms of lending to such businesses over a 3 to 5 year period is a good start, but is unlikely to fully address their funding needs. That said, the DBN is focused on financial inclusion, and getting a foothold on that is vital. And I think that is a positive from this, that even though all the funding needs might not be directly addressed immediately, it's definitely a start in terms of getting these businesses within a recognized financial sector and getting them access to credit.
All right, thank you so much, Michael Famaruti, economist at Betiva Capital Management.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the global economy continues to face uncertainty and rising risks. China's finance minister, Lu Jiwei, said this on behalf of the G20 economies. Mr. Jiwei also noted that uncertainty and risks, including elections in major economies, uncertain fallout from Brexit, rising expectation for rate hikes by the Federal Reserve, increased geopolitical risks and terrorist attacks could have significant repercussions for the global economy and international financial markets.
The global economy continues to face uncertainty and rising risks, China's finance minister Liu Zhiwei said on behalf of the G20 economies. Mr. Zhiwei also noted that uncertainty and risks, including elections in major economies, uncertain fallout from Brexit, rising expectation for rate hikes by the Federal Reserve, increased geopolitical risks and terrorist attacks could have significant repercussions for the global economy and international financial markets. According to him, G20 economies will continue to closely monitor the developments, strengthen policy coordination and deliver on the commitments made in September at the G20 Hangzhou summit in China. When asked about the Brexit process and possible related financial turmoil, German Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble, who will chair the G20 meetings next year, said at the press conference that EU institutions stand ready to negotiate. He added that capital flows and volatility in currency markets are always a concern for G20 economies. In this regard, Liu added that financial markets tend to magnify uncertainties and overreact. When asked about China's rising credit, Liu said that China's central government debt level remains at a healthy level, with the debt to GDP ratio at around 18%. China has taken measures to improve the supervision and regulation of local government debt and strengthen budget constraints over local governments, according to Liu. The risks related to local governments' debts are under control. Ministers and governors discussed the global economic situation, taxation, beneficial ownership and anti-money laundering. They also listened to the Financial Channel report made by Germany, who will take over the presidency of the Group of 20 in 2017.
Okay, let's see how the interbank foreign exchange market is doing at the moment. So we have Ifeeko Olotu, who is a forex dealer with Access Bank. She joins me on the program. Ifeeko, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What is the Naira trading currently against other international currencies?
Well, in the interbank market, we still see the USD NGN at a peak of around 315. Currently, we have very minimal trade in the market, but in larger volume, it's about 304.75, 305.25. But then again, as I said, minimal, very, very low volume, low activity in the market today. We're trusting that during the week, we'll get improved volume in the market.
Is the gap between the parallel markets and the official window, the interbank window, closing?
It's not closing. It's not closing because we're still seeing the ridiculously high rates in the parallel market, and the interbank market hasn't really moved from the previous week.
All right, thank you so much. We hope that things get better as we go on the week. Thank you so much, Ifeeko Olotu, a forex market dealer with Access Bank. With that, we've come to the end of Business Incorporated. Thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate your time with us. We hope to see you same time tomorrow. I am Bolaji Akinwale.